Me find the program. I hope I'm back in the studio soon. You guys know the drill. Have to do all this at home, and so I have to do all this technical stuff before we can get into our soul space. Okay, we're getting there. So I hope you're all doing well this week. It's been crazy out there. I hope you're all staying safe between epidemics and riots. We are certainly getting an awful lot of challenges our way, aren't we? We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the full moon eclipse coming in tomorrow, and we're going to maybe pull a couple of cards, and I'll take all of your questions, your comments, and anything that you want to throw at me tonight. I'm not going to be doing too much astrology tonight. I'd like to stay a little bit more philosophical and talk some bit about what's going on in the world and our feelings about that, because I have a whole idea of what I think is going on in the cosmos and stuff. But there we are. We're on live now. So I'm going to share the show, and then I'll be with you guys in a couple of minutes. You can see I have all my stuff out today because I was doing a lot of research. And so let me find the program. I hope I'm back in the studio soon. There we are. Okay, so want to share the show a couple of times, and then I'll be right with all you, my lovely audience, tonight. I hope you're all having a great week. Everything's just taking a while to load today. I don't know why. Internet's been like that. Hopefully you'll all be able to see the show without any hitches. Here we go. Okay. I got one more share to do. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. I'm hoping I'll be back in the studio in a couple of weeks. I miss my Sally so much, my engineer. I miss Tony. I miss everybody. Okay, and here I go back to Gov's Comedy Club page so I can see all my comments. Getting to be a pro at zipping around the social media here. Okay, here we are. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, because I was thinking about this and I was like, well, I could not talk about it, and I feel better that way because I don't really want to weigh in on anything political. The soul space is definitely a place for us to get our zen on. It's not a place where we're going to start ranting and raving about all of our different opinions and divisiveness. But I also felt like it might be a little bit irresponsible not to mention what's going on in the world, because many of you are probably having some issues processing the energy and what's really going on in the world. So I decided to talk about it a little bit, and I love comments and weigh in. Please only weigh in with comments of love or something constructive. I'm really not looking here to make any controversy. Hi, Aaron. I know Aaron's had a hard time. I think he's in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. Janine, Colleen. I've got some other people out there watching, and then we'll give people a chance to come in. So I find this time is really contemplative. I feel like a lot of the things that are happening to give us a chance to think about things in a much more serious way. And I know that's been happening to me anyway. And so this week I started to journal a lot, and I started, which I normally do anyway, but I started to journal more and really take the time out to feel God's presence with me and to feel Spirit's presence within me, and, you know, go really deep and feel that. And coming up with some pretty interesting takes on things. The first question I want to ask, because I just have to ask this because this is my human side coming out, is if something is outrageous to you, or something is distasteful or shocking or revolting or purely a negative thing, why are you reposting it? That's my main question of these last few days, is like, People keep posting things and saying how horrible they are. If something's horrible, why are you reposting it on your page? I can't wrap my brain around that. Let's just stop, you know? And I'm sorry I get riled up a little bit, but it's because I just want everything to be constructive, not destructive. And that doesn't mean that it's always going to be love. I get that. The world, especially now, is not all lollipops and roses and beautiful clouds with silver linings. I get that. I'm a realist, okay? I take my Zen serious as you know what. So all the more reason to be censoring your own pages and what you're putting up there, because we just keep perpetuating this. I saw someone today put up a post of a riot. I don't think it was in America, I think it was in Australia, of a police car turned upside down and someone defecating on the top of it. Like, why would you post that on your page? I just can't wrap my brain around. So that's my little rant for the night. And I just feel like it's watch what you do and watch what you say. And I said that in the last video because of some of the astrological aspects, but this is even more so. We've all got to really watch what we do and watch what we say. Not from a censorship point of view, but from a point of view of being interdependent in the collective. Like, our actions and our words affect other people. And, you know, you're going to post something like that and somebody else is going to think it's funny and then they're going to post it and it's not funny. I'm sorry, that's a really bad taste. And I don't mean to say that in regards to the person that posted it. We all do it, you know. It's just that we keep perpetuating the nonsense, the violence. It goes from the nonsensical to what we saw in that 8-minute video very quickly. It's all the same energy. It's all wrong. And I hate to be so judgmental, but there are some things that are just wrong in this world. And I'm not going to be trapped by spirituality and, like some people are, that their pendulum has swung so far into spirituality that they're afraid to say what's true. Sometimes things should be judged for what they are, evil or wrong, or things that we shouldn't be perpetuating. There's a place for judgment, not in the extreme of that person is bad, but that someone's action is bad, or that it's an action that's questionable enough that we shouldn't be repeating it and putting it all over the world. So that's just my opinion. You guys can weigh in. You can tell me, you know, I'm full of crap. You can tell me whatever you want, but I really believe that sometimes people use spirituality in order to trap us. They want to throw back the goodness in the world at us so that we understand we have to stay in this box of goodness. The world is not a box of goodness. There's some really hideous and unthinkable things happening now. And we've got to look at them and we've got to take them out and not perpetuate them, not give them energy in the sense of amplifying them, but we can't ignore them either. I censor a lot of what I watch and what I see because I choose, as a responsible human being, to focus more on the right action of love. But that doesn't mean I live in a vacuum and I'm trapped by spirituality. I watch an hour of news a day. I listen. I make sure I'm safe in my neighborhood. I make sure that I'm not perpetuating the constructs that are wrong in the world. And there's a lot of them right now. I'm not political at all. There are family members that I have that think that's a cop-out and that I should be voting and doing all these things. That's just not where my energy and where my resonance lies. I don't feel that I want to change things on a political platform. I want to change the world in the heart space of love, spirituality, our everyday lives. I would like to be more of someone who influences people and inspires people to be the alchemists in their own lives to change those things. For me personally, the person sitting as the governor of my state or the president of the United States, while I have respect for that construct, I don't feel that's ever really touched me personally. And at one time I was really political. So that's just my take on it. So I stay more in the emotions of the world. I feel that's my calling. And so when you post things, I just started to get really emotional. When you post things, when we all post things, and when we talk and we speak and we say our opinions, let's really do it with love, because that's what's going to save us all from this. So that being said, the other thing I started to write and journal a lot, and that's great, John. I saw that you said you were journaling. That's the energy right now. It's definitely creation, all right? We have this full moon eclipse coming in right on the Great Awakener, which is creative energy, primordial God creative energy. So today I started writing, and I went back to a very simple phrase that I learned when I was a little girl, and that was that we should all see ourselves through God's eyes. And it was just this like cliche phrase that anyone who grew up religiously probably is told a lot. And when I heard that phrase during meditation today, and my higher self or spirit or the angels or whoever gave it to me, I really stopped and was thinking about it a lot. And think about that phrase, see yourself in God's eyes. I think that what's going on in the world is we forgot that. A lot of people are forgetting that. A lot of people feel forgotten. Take, for instance, the looting that has been going on and the destruction that has been going on in the world. There's so much anger. Well, when you think about that, that comes from a wound. And that comes from a wound that's very deep. We've all known that kind of a wound in some way, maybe in different levels of extreme, but we've all been hurt and angry and wanted to lash out and been so mad that we could just, throw a brick or destroy something. We've all been that mad. What does it take for people to take to the streets and do that? It takes a lot of anger. It takes a lot of wounding. So I can't judge someone because they're acting ridiculous in my mind, and I do have that mental capacity to say, storming Macy's Herald Square and looting the place, in my mind, is a ridiculous way to act out your wound. But for that person, the wound was deep enough for them to act in that manner. And so that's where our compassion comes in, and that's where, we think about seeing ourselves in God's eyes. If we do that, who do we really see? And I wore this shirt specifically for tonight's broadcast because it says love who you are. And that was so much the message I got today, because if we can see ourselves in God's eyes, even in our darkest time, are these times really dark? I don't think so. I think these times are of enlightening and illumination if we see it through God's eyes, if we see ourselves through God's eyes. I think we're seeing it through the human vessel of the destruction and the hate and the jealousy and the prejudice and the hierarchy and the might is right and the dominance. Those are all very human things. But how is God seeing those things? I feel like it's being given to us like this whirlpool that just keeps going around in circles, this whirlpool, this whirlpool, this whirlpool, and we're all in it. But God, looking above it, right, he sees where the whirlpool is going. This is for our betterment. This is for our good. This is the destruction of our constructs in order to make them better. And so, do I get sad? Of course, we all do. We see things that are horrific. And the emotion rises to the surface, and I allow it to just flow, because that's where I'm going to find in that brokenness something better to be, and someone better to be. So I think the moral of the story is we have to break before we can rebuild. And that's what's going on now. And I feel like if while we're breaking, we can see ourselves through God's eyes, it'll keep us together enough to be sane enough to go into the love every time. And look, we all have brokenness. Like I said, in some level of extreme, we all have brokenness, whether that was a wound from our childhood, whether it's an ancestral wound, whether it's a wound that we have only because of the way we are born, our religion, the color of our skin, whatever it might be. We may have a wound because we were abused. We may have a wound because we acted out that wound through addiction. But I think that all of the wounding, all of the brokenness, as a society, we've done one of two things, and that's what you're seeing now come out to the hilt. We have either ignored, denied, distracted ourselves from our wound in some way. I don't really feel that way. I'm just going to ignore that person. I'm going to cut that person out of my life. I don't like what they have to say. I'm not going to speak to my mother. She's the one who wounded me. I'm just going to go over here and drink. I'm going to gamble. I'm going to be addicted to food. I'm going to do whatever I have to do because I am not looking at this brokenness. That's the first way we do it. That's one way. The other way is we get really extreme about creating structures and universal law that we think we have control over. If you think about it, democracy is one of those. Class distinction is one of those. Putting people in categories because of their belief systems is one of those. We do it so we don't have to look at our own wounds. If you're like me, I'm happy. If you differ from me, I have to fight you. You're threatening to me because I feel wounded in here from something and you're bringing that out. And that's what's going on in the country. So if we can come out of the humanness and see ourselves in God's eyes, whatever God is for you, you don't have to believe in my God. You don't have to believe in anyone's God but the one that resonates within your body, your soul. Some people believe in galactic energy and aliens. Some people believe in angels, Buddha, ascended master, fairies and elementals, the sun gods, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all primordial origination of the energy of creation. The zero energy of something that created you and everything else in the world. If we can see ourselves through that energy, through those eyes, through that lens, then things become different and they become more compassionate. And then we become brave enough to look at our brokenness and look at the wound and sit with it and not throw a brick, not spread hate, not feel the need to post the thing that spreads the hate and the violence and the derision. We don't feel the need to say, you're different than me, I'm right and you're wrong. Because when we look at it through the lens of that creator energy, whatever that is for you, whatever God energy is for you, when we look at it through that lens, we are all beautiful beings of light, miraculous. And the brokenness that we are been given, whatever brokenness, we all have something. We're not afraid to look at it because we realize it's part of the bigger plan. Remember, God's looking above that whirlpool, that brokenness, that stuff you don't want to take out and look at. Instead, we're all throwing our wounds all over the street, shooting cops and shooting at citizens and murdering people and tearing each other up in every way that we can. Because we're trying not to look at our own brokenness. And we've got to sit down and take it out and look at it with the help of that creator energy, with that help of the God energy. And say, yeah, okay, I'm broken here. Time for me to get to fixing it. Me acting out, me throwing my wound all over the street isn't going to help it. And so that's how I feel about all this. And that's what I really believe when I sit in silence and I sit with my angels and my advisors and my ascended masters. That's why all this is happening. To bring us to this beautiful place where we have new constructs. Now, the human condition is one where we're never going to have bliss. Maybe for a few minutes of our lifetime or a short period, but everything here in this world is impermanent. So even the constructs that you're trying to hold on to so strongly, and I have them too, whether it's your religious beliefs, your political beliefs, your beliefs about segregation, your beliefs about anything that's a structure that is your belief, even your family of origin, your ancestral beliefs, whatever it is you're holding on to, it's not permanent. It's never going to be permanent. Nothing in this world is permanent. The only permanence is the soul you bring with you through many lifetimes. So maybe it's time for all of us to start listening to that soul and connecting it with the God energy in order to see ourselves through those eyes. Because from what I'm watching on the news and from what I'm seeing put out there in media, not a whole lot of people are doing that. And maybe if we could do it, I need to get better at it sometimes myself. And if we can do that, then the world changes. And whatever new constructs we bring, whether they are political or religious or about the structure of our dominant forces, police and military and whatever it is, there are new constructs coming. That's what this time is about. There's been no time in history where a construct was permanent. Even astrology, which was around for 6,000 years, astrology was the main form of belief for most societies. Up until about 300 years ago, when Isaac Newton had different universal laws that came in, a doctor would have to be an astrologer before he could practice medicine, because many of the tinctures and cures they gave were done through the astrology. Farmers planted their fields by the astrology, by where the moons were. Even that is an impermanent construct because people don't use that anymore. So whatever the construct is in society right now, it's impermanent. So it's great to fight for our beliefs. It's great to fight for the constructs, but they're not going to last anyway. And I think that our energy is much better in more of a universal construct of love, of right order, of right action, because those are the things that will last forever. And those are the energies that we can put out in the world that last forever. So don't be afraid to look at your own brokenness through this. Don't be afraid to look at your own wounds through this, because that's what we see people acting out on the world stage. Everyone has them. From Donald Trump to Martin Luther King, we all have brokenness. And we're meant to take that brokenness out and look at it. That's why we're given it, because that's the whirlpool that's supposed to bring us to someplace else. It's a gift, and I'm just going to read the last part of what I wrote today in my meditation. Okay. Brokenness is not really that at all, but is instead a gift, a road to lead us home. We must walk on it, face it, and understand it. The journey is to be made aware of it, aware in its full glory of the gift. It will enlighten us. Not to stare into its depth to be more wounded, but to stare down into the depth of our brokenness to see the way through, the way out, the way that was always there, but we didn't see until we looked at it. The gift of what it has to teach us. But in our brokenness, we avoid. We look away. We deny and don't see that gift. We must see ourselves as God sees us, not broken, never alone, and never in darkness. He sees us as miraculous beings of His light, a miracle forever evolving to more by confronting the illusion of our brokenness. The brokenness we see as a gift when we see ourselves in God's eyes. When we love ourselves as He loves us, we know what home is. It has always been within us, and in the bottom of our brokenness, in the humility of our pain, in the surrender to the glory that we mistook for strife. That is home. Know this and welcome every trial for the gift where it will bring you. And so these are not dark times. They seem like dark times if we dwell on the evening news and some of the posts in the social media and the infighting that we have in families and neighbors and everywhere. But if we can go into a higher perspective, which is what the full moon eclipse in Sagittarius wants us to do, higher learning, higher perspective, then we're going to come into this in a completely new way. We're going to come into this with so much light. And we're going to come into this building new constructs and creating a whole new world order. And it might not look so different than the one that we have, but it'll feel really different than the one that we have. And that's really why all this is happening. So when the next time you think about why is all this happening and why is the world spinning out of control, well, it has to do that to land where it's supposed to land, right? So questions, comments, I know that's a lot of really deep stuff. Share it, play it back, whatever you want to do. But this is the true path to illumination for most of us. People are going to emerge from this time feeling like they want to do something different with their lives. And for those of us who hope to be inspirational beings in the world, let's encourage them to do something different with their lives. So the other thing I've been getting a lot of questions about is, yes, Donna, everyone needs to go out and send love to the world. How are you doing? Such a brave, brave soul. So the other thing that I was thinking about was, because I feel like we're in this really, not dark time, but illuminating time, I feel like it is very reminiscent of me when I was in a portion of my journey back in like 2010, when I first felt like I was awakening to a whole other level of ascension. And at that time, there were some symptoms that I had that sometimes would make me very frightened. And I wanted to go over that tonight because I feel like a lot of my clients and people on Facebook and just even my friends and my sphere of influence are asking me a lot of the questions about, they're getting weird feelings, they're having really strong dreams, things like that. So I'm going to go over the unfolding, or what happens to us when we really are going through a major transition in our life, in our spiritual self. And what I'm going to tell you is that if you're looking for a life of nightly TV watching and accumulating a lot of possessions, then this probably isn't the podcast for you. And I speak as someone who spent a lot of years doing that. So, Zenkuda is a way of life. Zenkuda is for people who take their Zen really serious. It's for people that are a little Zen, a little Barracuda. And it's for people who are devoted to their spiritual practices and are living that through their soul. So I hope that you'll all be Zenkudas and subscribe to my YouTube channel and my Instagram, Zenkuda Official. So what's happening when people go through a spiritual shift? It's sort of like, the old cliche, butterfly emerging from the cocoon. But it's all meant to bring you somewhere. I like to use the word transmutation instead of transformation, because I truly believe that energy transmutes, never dies, and that we really, the life journey of spirituality is transmuting the ego and integrating it into our love-based heart and soul, not getting rid of it or stamping it out. And if you spend a lot of time trying to do that, you frustrate yourself. So the first thing that you're going to find if you're on a spiritual trek is you're going to start to have really deep dreams. You're going to start to dream about things that don't seem to make sense when you wake up, especially now where Neptune is in the sky. And what I can tell you is they will make sense. Keep a dream journal by your bed, because when we can write down, like a lot of times if I have guests in the house, or people, just over the years when I've had different partners, sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and start writing because I keep a book by my bed, and people would think I was nuts, But I remember what my ex always had, like, what are you doing? But I do that. I don't remember doing it when I wake up in the morning, but then I read it and it brings me a whole download. So definitely keep something by your bed that's going to talk about what you dreamt last night to you. Because you will get very deep dreams and they will have meaning for you. The other thing is that you are going to find that you, I lost my page here. Okay. You're going to find that you're going to become more aware of seeing signs, people call signs, and synchronicities. That isn't because all of a sudden you're connected and Spirit's talking to you and you're seeing these license plates with numbers and all these things. And no, it's because those signs have always been there. You're just now more open to them because you're more aware of your own spirituality. So I want to clarify that, because I truly believe that, a lot of people will say to me, if they come for a psychic medium reading, they'll be like, wow, how do you do that? How did you know those things? Or how did you, connect with my dead mom or whatever? We all have the ability to do that. It just is a matter of taking the time and the devotion to have spiritual practices that open you to it. And so when we become initiated on the spiritual path, we see all these synchronicities and all these signs because we're open and we're able to interpret them. Our brain and our body is now open more to that energy, that energetic field. The other thing that will happen, and it's funny because I guarantee like a lot of these things that are happening, probably you're all going to be like, oh my God, I have that. Oh my God, I have that. The other thing that'll happen is you're going to want to break away from conformity. And we see this playing out a lot in the collective now. And by that I mean, like, for instance, maybe you have been going to school and you're in your third year or your fourth year of a degree program, you're going to almost complete, and all of a sudden you don't even want to do it. You're just completely shifting what always appealed to you, those constructs don't appeal to you anymore. And you ask yourself, what is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Your true soul is emerging instead of the role that you've been playing with your personality. And that's a big part of spirituality. And we'll do a whole show on that. Gary Zukov is amazing writer and inspirational being about just that, is living through your soul instead of personality. So, you know, or you've been married for a long time and all of a sudden you look at this person and they seem like a stranger to you and you just can't relate. That's because your energetic field is changing. You brought that person into your life when you were a different energy, so you're not going to relate to them anymore. The other thing that will happen is unexplained changes in appetites and eating habits. This was very drastic and extreme for me. I had a very poor diet at one time and decided to go to a nutritionist and change my life. And when I did that, I lost a tremendous amount of weight. I've been the exact same weight, give or take 2 or 3 pounds or so. Maybe when I changed my daily routine, I gained a little bit of weight 3 years ago, came off. I've been the same exact weight for about 10 years, and I don't work at it. I do watch what I eat, as far as I don't want to put any foreign substances in my body, but I don't I'm not a vigorous workout. I do yoga. It's just, that's what happened when I synced my soul with my life. I didn't have a need to crave things that weren't good for me. So your appetite completely changed. Your eating habits will change. I remember getting things eliminated from my diet one by one. Like, I don't eat peppers for some reason. Peppers just are not in my diet. And just like one day it was like, they made me really sick. And I was like, okay, I'm done with peppers now. And they're like, yeah, you're done with peppers now. So it's just, your appetites are going to change. You start to look younger. People on the street will actually say, wow, you look great. What have you been doing? I actually had someone think I had surgery. And no, it's just you're in alignment, so your body's healthier. You start to want to spend a lot of time outside. You start to want to be in nature all the time. You feel yourself grounded in nature. And that was very true for me after years of always working in an office and coming home and just staying in the house or going to bed or whatever. I had always been a boater, but I'd never been like in nature itself, like walking or hiking. I started to hike. I started to I remember even one time in a snowstorm, taking my dog to one of the state parks by me and having the most beautiful experience hiking in the snow, this beautiful light snowfall, and just having time with my animal. And it was one of the most profound experiences of my life. And I would never have done something like that prior to my awakening. You also find things that have been chronic illnesses suddenly heal. I had joint pain for years. They thought at first it was Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue. I was diagnosed with all these crazy diseases. And when I started to do yoga and align myself with my soul and become spiritual, I did not ever have a body ache. So it's alignment. It's that you're out of alignment, you're holding energy somewhere. You change what you read, how you spend your spare time, the music that you play, everything. That also is definitely a sign that your energy is changing, your energetic attunement frequency is changing. I play meditation music in my house all the time now, or yoga music or Yanni or something like that, Duder. And prior to that, I used to have like hardcore music playing in my house all the time. And you get a sense of inner peace throughout the day in different intermittent times. You find that your energy is rising, your vibration is rising, and you'll be doing something, and all of a sudden you just sit down and take a rest and observe it and evaluate it and feel like you're really present there. And so that's because you have a greater awareness of yourself. You have a greater awareness of the outside world because your energy is changing to that awareness. And that's what spirituality is. It's really an awareness. It's an awareness of the way you act in the world. It's an awareness of your interdependence with the things in the world. So I hope tonight isn't too heavy for you guys. I know we're in a heavy time, but all the more reason why I wanted to give you guys some info about how we change our energy field when we really are on a spiritual journey. So I have to put on a little lipstick because my lips are really dry, and I've been having a problem with chapped lips because I'm talking all the time on camera. So I'm going to go back and look at the comments. Been walking a lot. Yeah, Joanne, you're probably communing with the earth. And also, when you feel confused or anyone feels unsettled, it's really a great idea to go out in nature and go out and walk around in nature, because what happens is we ground with the earth and it puts us back in sync. It puts us like more in sync with what we want to do naturally with the earth around us and the vibration of that. Hey Colleen, hey Janine. We don't have a lot of people online tonight. I don't know why. It might just be the energy. Journaling is such a good way to stay in touch with yourself. Hey Donna, hey Elaine. Okay, Monica, Joanne, I'll pick a card, RJ, and Beth. How are you guys? If you guys want to share the show, I would love that, so we get a few more people online. I'm trying to increase my readership, my watchership, and also if you would please all subscribe to Zenkuda on YouTube. My videos are going to start to be there instead of, I feel like I got this really big stomach in this shirt. Uh-oh, I'm being too human. So my videos are all going to be on YouTube. Well, they're all on YouTube now, but I'm trying to phase out Facebook and go on YouTube because I want to go to a higher energy. I feel like Facebook is a very low energy. Before I go to pick a card with the time we have left, what I want to do is just really quickly run through this beautiful full moon eclipse that we have coming in, because this is huge energy. Please, even if you don't go outside, meditate, do something that will bring you into spirituality during this full moon, because a lunar eclipse, and it's a big one. I want to go through really quick, and this is for rising signs. If you are a Aries rising, this is happening in your 9th house. This is tomorrow, Friday, June 5th. Big full moon eclipse. Eclipses come in and bring in karmic energy. They come in and change things. They come in and bring us a new energy in the area of life that they're happening in the birth chart. And I'm going to go through that for each sign. They bring us an ignition point of something that's going to be under change for the next year and a half, 18 months. Aries, for you, these karmic changes come out in the 9th house, which is the higher mind. It's our beliefs. It's what we were talking about this evening. It's education. It's religion. It's spirituality. It's an illumination of lessons or in anger and frustration. That'll be going on for about a year and a half. And this teaches you a new way to manage those things and a new way for your beliefs to come into that area of life. It's also can be foreign things and foreign travel. Taurus, this is happening in your Taurus. These are rising signs. Taurus rising. This is happening in your 8th house. 8th house is the house of debts, obligation to others. These would be your karmic debts. So for the next year and a half, 18 months, you're going to be paying off karmic debts. You're going to be receiving rewards for things that you've accomplished, and you're going to be having debts called in other places where you have not karmically done the right thing. So just know that this can also be a rebirth after karmic consequences. So just know it's happening in that area of your chart that is the obligations that you have to others. All right, Gemini, and it could also, I'm sorry, one more thing, Taurus, that 8th house could also be a death or a loss. Now that doesn't necessarily have to be someone around you. It could also be a rebirth for you in the classic sense. So it could be a good thing. Gemini rising, this is happening in your 7th house of relationships. This is marriage. This is a crescendo. It's a culmination of an event. This could be a breakup, or it could be meeting someone brand new. This is for the next year and a half. But it's an important shift in that area of life where your relationships, your marriage house. It could also be work, but more than likely it's something in relationship. It's a critical point in a relationship over the next 18 months. Cancer rising. This is happening in your 6th house of health. Daily challenges. This is about hard work. This is about digging your heels in, rolling up your short shirt sleeves, dealing with conflicts when they come up, because there's a reward at the end of this year and a half. So do your work, really do your hard work, because good things and rewards are coming, but you've got a real challenge with hard work in this. Leo, this is your 5th house. This is pregnancies, children. It could be someone in your family having a child. It's also joy, recreation, the things we do for fun. It's our social sphere. These are things that come in to bring consequences. Now, consequences don't mean negative. They can be negative or positive, but it means some kind of change in the consequence of things and in that area of your life. It could also mean a deeper relationship with children. For Virgo rising, this full moon eclipse is in your 4th house of home and family. This means home within and home in your ancestors, your family, your immediate family. This is about karma and accumulated karma, where you've done the right good and where you maybe have slacked a little bit. So the emphasis is on seeking what's hidden in family karma. So ancestral secrets might come out, or something that's going on in your home or in your family. Year and a half we have to go through. Libra, this is your Libra rising. Libra rising, this is your 3rd house of siblings, neighbors, family, roots. It could also be media and communication. So if you're a Libra rising and you're thinking of doing something, communicating differently in a different medium, that could really be a big deal for you. It could also be an environment in your home needs some creativity, decoration, or you're going to do art or something like that. Scorpio rising, this is your 2nd house. This is your finances. These are karmic debts and karmic lessons in the area of your finances, what you value, and the way that you make money. So this is about you taking charge and being responsible for your financial life. Sagittarius, this is happening in your 1st house. This is for Sagittarius rising. Happening in your 1st house. This is personal self. This is health. This is your self-worth, the way you perceive yourself. This is your body, your psychology, your dharma. It's going to be existential. It's going to be, who am I and who do I really want to be in this world? Capricorn, and that also for Sagittarius rising can bring a new beginning. Capricorn rising, this is potential themes of self-sabotage. Not just where you set yourself up for failure, but where you allow others to bring you down. And again, these are all karmic lessons. These are about people who are unhealthy in your life and discerning how you want to deal with that energy and what their placement is in your life. This is reflecting those destructive world influences. I don't need to be so heavy, but sometimes it can be a small influence, but this is about the way that you karmically deal with them. Aquarius rising, this is happening in your 11th house. This is your friends, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams. This is about your allies, and karmically, who do you really align with in order to fulfill your dreams? This is about groups of people. If you're an Aquarius rising, in the next 18 months, the groups that you hang out with or do business with or that you share things with may really change. And your life may change, whether it's a political group, religious group, or whatever. Pisces rising, this is a career catalyst for you. It's happening in your 10th house. This is going to be confrontational energy at work, and the way that you deal with it is going to show you a karmic lesson. This is about your reputation in the world and how you deal with things in a public way. And that's everybody. So this eclipse is very much about karmic. Eclipses usually are, but it's really about the structures and constructs and the karmic way that we deal with them in our life. So the last few minutes, I'll take some questions. We've got about 15 more minutes. I'm a Gemini. Listen to yours. You got this, woman. Okay, there you go. So this is for the rising signs, Beth. Whenever you look at a horoscope or anything, you want to do it by your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, or what's referred to as an ascendant, it is you're able to get a chart on astro.com, and you can just fill in, you get a free birth chart, and that will bring you your ascendant and your rising sign. Okay? The reason why you would want to look at your zodiac with your rising is because you want to know what the transit, whether it's a full moon, new moon, or a full moon eclipse like this, is happening in what house of your chart. So you would start with your rising sign, because that's going to be your first house, and you'll know. Okay? And if you don't understand that, you don't have to. Just look up your rising. All right, I'm going to pick a card for world energy, and then I am going to questions, comments, whatever you guys need from me. You know, I do a lot of astrology. These videos are also a lot of astrology, but that's just one of the areas, one of the cars I drive. You know, anyone knows me knows I'm a car person. I drive a lot of cars. I have a lot of vessels. Astrology is just one of them. But don't underestimate tarot, oracle cards. Tonight I am picking from the Circle of Light oracle cards. These are cards that I created, I made. You can get them on zencuda.com under services. And I'll put a link in the broadcast tonight, and you can use their beautiful cards, if I do say so myself. You can use them by just picking one. They're meant to go into a circle of light. They come with a crystal that you spin, and then that's your card. So I'm going to pick a card for world energy. Spirit, what is the message that you have to give us over the next few days with this beautiful world, this beautiful full moon eclipse for the world? A card flew out, so we're going to use that one. Wow, it's what we're talking about all night tonight. Spiritual mastery. Light raises our soul. What a beautiful card that is. I'm going to read from the book what spiritual mastery is about. And the book was open to that, so that's pretty cool. Spiritual mastery happens by leaving fear and doubt to live in love. Don't be fearful, guys. We have to really live in love. It is a conscious decision to become a spiritual warrior. Yeah! Be a Zenkuda! And live your truth. A master dives deep to see the lesson in each experience and uses it to grow forward in their life. You have great potential to achieve rare spiritual mastery. Many will teach you, and you in kind are a teacher of many, and that is true for every one of us in the world, and that's why we really have to make sure that we understand interdependence. And interdependence is all of us, and the actions that we do affect every single other person on this planet. We've got to start being responsible for that. Joanne, I'm going to pick a card for you because you said you were going through a hard time. Joanne, I got partner. Love empowers the light within. What this card is telling you is that if you're having trouble with a partnership, and a partnership doesn't have to be romantic, it can be, but it can also be children or a work partnership. But what this card is meant to show you is that partnerships are a direct reflection of the love we have for ourselves and the love that we have in our own lives for ourselves and the way that we treat ourselves. So we have to straighten out that first. We have to straighten out our own life within before we can have a good partnership in our life, because it's just like in this photo, the light is reflected on the water of the relationship. Our own light is reflected back to us in the other. Okay? I hope that helps. Love yourself, baby. All right, we have like 10 more minutes in the broadcast. Somebody put in the chat what they want. Question, comment. I'd love to know how you guys are all feeling in this energy. I do feel somewhat, I'll pick a card for you, John. I do feel somewhat anxious a lot of the time, and I breathe through that. Unfortunately, that's just going to be part of the way that we seem to have the energy right now. You know, it's a lot going on in the world for us humans to handle. Okay, John, I'm going to pick a card for you. John, your card is creation. Divine light inspires new beginnings. And I know you said you were journaling, so make sure you really read those messages, because I think there's something in there. And I've been feeling for a while for you, John, that you're on the verge of doing something creative in your life. So take that with you. I think you're on the right track, all right? RJ, I'm going to pick a card for you as well. And then I'm going to end with a little bit of a prayer. RJ, you got the card Spiritual Mastery. That was the card we picked for the world. So you have the same message. Go into love. Definitely go into love. So I want to just, in the last 5 minutes of the show, ask you, if you're enjoying these videos, please share them. Please support my work. I have been redirected in my life to do more of this and less of my other life. So I would really appreciate it if you guys did support me, support my channel, support my work. If you want a private reading, you can find me on zenkuda.com. I am a psychic medium, an astrologer, and also I work with people with spiritual guidance. Sometimes I see people over a long period of time in order for them to fulfill their potential as a life coach. I am a certified corporate wellness specialist. So tonight, wherever you are, if you could just fill your heart with some love. I've been having difficulty sleeping too, Beth. It's definitely the full moon lunar eclipse energy coming in. So let's all take it down a notch, and hopefully we can come to a place where tonight we will sleep well. Maybe if we go out and look at the moon and speak to her. She has messages for us. So wherever you are right now, please just center into your heart. Feel your heart beating in your chest. Close your eyes, relax. Take a breath and feel that beautiful heart space. And fill it with love, violet light. So much light that it's just overflowing and bursting free. You can feel it rising all the way through your body, up your crown chakra, through your head. This beautiful violet light of transmutation coming from our beautiful heart center, which is directly connected to spirit. The energy of Creator flows through us, through our heart, in beautiful violet light out of the crown of our head. And we spread this beautiful, beautiful violet light to everyone in the world, all living beings everywhere. May you feel peace, comfort. May you feel the energy of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Creator, of unconditional love, warmth, peace, ease, comfort, joy, healing, healing all the wounds of the earth, all the wounds in the world. We send beautiful violet light out to each and every one. The winged, the furred, humans, the creepy crawlers, every living being in the world, we send love, peace, harmony, joy, comfort, warmth, and healing. May we rise as a species of humans to a higher level of evolution so that we construct this world with love. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I love each and every one of you. Your support really means the world to me. So thank you so much. If there's anything else, I'll stay on for a few minutes. If you all have any other questions, please, every day, whatever your spiritual practice is, if you could reach out to the world and just send that energy, that's going to help, believe it or not. That's going to help more than anything that we can do, is to fill our hearts with love and spread it everywhere that we possibly can. The very first communication I had with an Ascended Master was the beautiful Saint Germain and Lord of the Seventh Ray. And when he came in, he said one phrase to me, and that was, "Put love where there is none." And since then, the last 10 years of my life, I've taken that seriously and I try to do it. So I hope that if there's been a little crevice of your heart, your mind, your body tonight that did not have love, I hope that this broadcast brought some love to that space and that you share it with someone who really needs it. Thank you so much. I love you all. Please, Zenkuda Official on Instagram, Zenkuda on YouTube. I love you all, and I hope to see you all at live events soon too. In the meantime, I'll see you next Thursday at 6:30 right here on the Soul Space. Bye-bye.